Napier. Here comes Boatwright.
Here earlier this year in Fayetteville, and no surprise, a really good, competitive, hard-fought game early on. The visiting Razorbacks have come into Auburn and taken a 10-6 lead.
Well, at this time of the season, you've got two teams with two different mindsets. Auburn right now just trying to grasp and get a win right now, scratching and clawing. For Arkansas, though, they're a team that feels like they still have an opportunity to play their way into the NCAA tournament. We look at a quality win against Florida at home, one of the better teams in the country. Arkansas needs to come here and take care of business against Auburn tonight.
But a perfect example of what's happened to Arkansas is the way they just dismantled Vanderbilt in Fayetteville. And then they go to Nashville the other night, and they just got it handed to them. So it's consistency that Mike Anderson is looking for. Shot clock at 4.
Tough shot.
Wow.
Well, that's why there's a lot of people across the country that feel like this man could possibly take off to the next level next year. You look at a lot of guards, but B.J. Young has 7 20-point scoring games, and he's played well thus far.
Boy, I'm telling you, Chubb and Hunter Mickelson really going at it. It was Mickelson. I'd really be a little surprised if they did not take a look at the monitor. And I think that's what Tony Barbie is asking. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at the monitor. I think that could be a flagrant. I think there was contact above the shoulders. Yeah, Jim Berg across the way is going to talk to Tony Barbie now. Take a look. I mean, they're going right at it. Here you go. Here it comes right there. Right there. That's contact above the shoulders. By rule, that's what they're talking about, right?
It is, but officials deciding to let that one go. Quick shot. We have Noel Johnson in for Auburn, a guy who's been shooting it well from the three-point line.
And Young comes right back and gets his second straight bucket. If you're a guy that is trying to put something together like Tony Barbie, you can understand his frustration because you got a big turnaround there. That rule is designed to go over and look at the monitor.
Sure.
And I don't think there's any question the contact was there. The contact is there again. Shaq Johnson called for the offensive foul.
Well, Shaq Johnson trying to take it to the paint, but Wade for Arkansas doing a good job by staying in there and taking the offensive foul. Earlier substitutions right now by Coach Tony Barbie. As you see Arkansas on the 9-2 run over the last 3 minutes. Coach Tony Barbie kind of like a chef in the kitchen, just trying to find the right ingredients to cook up a win.
Wow, Shaq Johnson is going to be whistled for another foul, so he has been in the game for about 30 seconds and has picked up 2 fouls. And Tony Barbie continues to talk about that last play across the way with Mike Kitts. Alan Payne checks back into the Auburn lineup as Shaq Johnson goes to the bench after those 2 quick fouls. Son Dixon Tatum, 7', 230-pound junior from Anderson, Indiana, wearing number 0 in there for Auburn.
Arkansas switched to a 2-3 zone on that last possession. Expect to see a lot of changing defenses from both coaches. And practice and shoot-around worked on both man-to-man and zone.
Scott couldn't get it to go. And Auburn trying to find some semblance of an offensive rhythm.
Alan Payne trying to pick Auburn up right now. A stretch 4.
Boy, I'm telling you, Arkansas, part of the scout for Mike Anderson is, hey, they're going to give you the 3, and when they give it to you, you better take it.
Well, in practice yesterday, Coach Tony Barbie said that they wanted to hug around the 3-point line because they hadn't shot it as well on the road. Arkansas surprising the Tigers right now, though.
Nice take by Payne as he scored 4 straight for the Tigers. Now they've got to come up with a stop.
Wow. You know, Coach Mike Anderson said after the shoot-around, he said, Damian, we know that we're right there. We have to forget about previous games and be concerned about whichever game we're playing at that time. That's the mentality the Razorbacks are playing with now.
Here's Denson. So the question, Damian Fishback, are we seeing really good offense or not very good defense?
Well, right now, I would say that the defense isn't that bad. Arkansas is just shooting it extremely well. But I think both teams need to really tighten up on the defensive end, communicate, do a better job of staying in front of their opponent.
That pull-up won't go for Johnson. Auburn 5 of 12 from the field. Arkansas 8 of 15. Not a good choice by Mickelson. And Sullivan will go to the line. The Razorbacks hitting from the outside. The Tigers attacking at the rim. They trail at home. 15-12, and Damian Fishback, they've gotten that early lead thanks to the triple.
Yeah, they've done a good job of really distributing the basketball. You got to remember, Arkansas's got 5 guys who have put up 20 points this year, and you're seeing different guys. You see Scott on this play. You've got Powell. You see good penetration by Wade, and then Scott again. Coach Tony Barbie at practice yesterday said they wanted to hug the free throw line because they only shot around 20-25% on the road. A good strategy, quite frankly, because Arkansas is actually 12th in the league, only shooting about 30%. But today they've come out hot. I expect Coach Tony Barbie to change that strategy up a little bit, get his guys to contest a little bit harder as the game continues to go on.
And there's no question that at this point in the development of this team with Tony Barbie, he is going to get guys to compete, or else they're not going to have a chance to compete.
Oh, well, he's such a competitor, and, you know, he's a guy who obviously played for Coach Cal, and you realize the success that he had at UTEP. But if there are words to describe Coach Tony Barbie, it is competitor, it is fight, it is an unwillingness to quit, and that's what he's still trying to instill in this Auburn team this year.
Kiko Haidar, number 20, in there for Arkansas. As is Rashad Madden, 0-0. Here's Powell again. And Cody Clark got position. And Noel Johnson had no choice but to foul him.
Well, he had no choice but to foul him, but he fouled him because he did not make the box out. Give Clark credit. Clark's athletic, but no more athletic. You see the body types. Not any stronger than Johnson. That's just a play where Johnson has to want it more. Coach Tony Barbie bringing Johnson out of the game because of that. When you're struggling to get wins, those are the type of plays you have to have. Loose balls, rebounds, taking care of the basketball in order to change the trajectory of the way your team's been going.
Arkansas has led by as many as 9.
Outstanding start by Arkansas thus far. Not only the shooting, but doing a good job defensively. As Haidar draws an offensive foul.
Kiko Haidar able to step in, and Denson with the contact.
Well, you can tell that Arkansas is making a conscious effort to get outside the half circle and stay in front of Auburn.
And that is just a nice play by Haidar to get out there, rotate over. Knew he was going to take the hit. Former walk-on. Got the highest academic scholarship you could get at Arkansas. There he is. And he couldn't quite chase down the 50-50 ball, but look at that hustle.
Well, that's what you want to see if you're Coach Tony Barbie. You want to see your guys continuing to fight in battle. Coach Mike Anderson at the shoot-around today, he said this is a game that makes us nervous because we don't feel like this Auburn record is indicative of their team, and they have been playing better and a team that plays well at home.
Shove with a mismatch. Nice recognition by the Tigers. The momentum has swung ever so slightly since the last media timeout. And that's because the Razorbacks have only been getting scoring from 2 spots. Boy, that's one of those plays. Marshawn Powell, great hustle, but you just can't make that play. Frankie Sullivan was there.
Too vital for this basketball team. When he plays well, so do the Razorbacks. He is their one and only true form of inside presence. Mickelson is still young, developing his game, but Powell is a guy who can go inside and out, but really does well to score in the paint.
And even more critical, Damian, I mean, that's his 2nd foul, so he goes to the bench now in the first half. 9:46 to play. And it was Mike Anderson telling us that he felt that the foul trouble on Powell was a big reason for the loss at Vanderbilt. Denson had nowhere to go and then threw it away. Nice defense by Cody Clark.
At practice yesterday, Coach Tony Barbie was discussing to his players how they needed to just play basketball today. Arkansas switches so many screens on the defensive end, it really takes you out of a lot of your sets.
Madden couldn't get it to go. And Auburn trying to push the pace.
Wow.
Good defense by Auburn. Payne got a hand on it. Payne CSS has your complete coverage of the SEC every Wednesday, starting with SEC tonight at 6:30 and wrapping up SEC games around the South on SEC Hoops Weekly. Plus live games presented by Regions Bank next Wednesday. South Carolina hosts Ole Miss. It's at 7, and it's all right here on CSS.
Ole Miss still a team that's dealing with the loss of Aaron Jones, but one of the best inside-out, I think, duos that anyone in the conference has.
Razorbacks couldn't get it going on the break. It's been over 4 minutes since their last field goal, and they've missed 6 shots in a row.
And you see Coach Mike Anderson was on the sideline basically displaying how you have to be tough with the basketball. He said the young people today just not as tough, not as mentally tough as he would want them to be, and that's what he expects from his guys, to be both mentally and physically tough and display that on the road.
Payne heads over to the Auburn bench, and Jordan Price at the free throw line. You saw his season numbers. A guy who tied the SEC record.
Yep, 11 three-pointers earlier this year.
Made him over 3 consecutive games. Tied the record set by Kevin Avery of Vandy in 1992.
Since that TV timeout, Arkansas struggling offensively, and Auburn starting to claw their way back into the basketball game defensively.
Wade had it knocked away. And the Tigers throw it away. The Auburn defense on the uptick. The Tigers have pulled within 3. We've reached Postal Service trivia question. It's brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. Schedule your free package pickup today. What is the winning percentage for SEC road teams in conference play since 1991? Is it 27, 30, 34, or 44? We'll let you get to that calculator app on your iPhone. And we'll update you a little bit later.
SEC always a difficult place to play when you go on the road. You have hostile environments. The O-Dome, O'Connell Center for the Gators. Obviously Rupp Arena where they have 24,000. Bud Walton Arena. Difficult place to play as well.
So in the backcourt, Arkansas inbounding the ball. And the Razorbacks have not had a field goal since the 12:30 mark. They have missed their last 6 shots. Here at the Auburn Arena, Dave Baker, Damian Fishback, our entire SEC crew.
They've also missed Marshawn Powell. I think that's taken away a lot from Arkansas because now everything is either outside or they have to try to get into the paint via the bounce and penetration. No one really posting up on the interior.
And then even if they get in there, where are the points coming from? Shot clock at 5 again. And they just lost track of the shot clock. Wade lost track of it. Mickelson lost track of it. Good defense, Auburn. Error, Arkansas.
Well, we talked about B.J. Young at the outset, but I think it's safe to say that the pulse of this Arkansas Razorback team is Marshawn Powell because they are truly struggling.
Powell been on that bench since the 9:46 mark after picking up his second foul on a preventable play. Nice pass inside. Tigers got the first block. It was Price that got it, but they called Chubb for the foul on the second attempt.
One of the best places to try to give a post delivery is when the ball is in the center of the floor. That means you have no help side defense. It's usually one-on-one with the guy who's on the interior.
Cody Clark, 6'11" junior from Birmingham, Alabama, via Lawson State Community College. No doubt probably at some point in time played against some of the guys on this Auburn basketball team.
Well, and he's very athletic. You talk about his size at 6'7", 225 pounds. He's the #2 rebounder on the Razorback team.
Now started the last 5 games for Arkansas.
First time to press here, Dave.
First time tonight. And everybody talks about that Arkansas press. Of course, you know that one of the keys is you got to make shots before you can set the press. Sullivan bailed out Denson, and now he'll set the offense. And Frankie Sullivan 0 for 1 from the field. Chubb couldn't get the shot to go. And then Ja'Cory Williams lost it off his head.
Ron Chubb went to his left shoulder again, and Jordan Price doing a good job of going to the offensive glass.
Cody Clark whistled for his second foul. Williams just had that rebound go right through his hand, right off his head. See Hassan Dixon Tatum check back in. Rob Chubb goes to the Auburn bench.
Dave, Jordan Price is a guy who has, I think, an incredible upside. Just got to get in a little better shape.
Another shot is swatted away, and here come the Tigers. Ball over top of the backboard. The game's last 9 points have come from the free throw line. Arkansas's streak without a field goal is now over 6 minutes.
Nice.
And when you're having trouble getting the ball in the basket, that's a way to take care of that. Take it right at the rim.
Well, he's a go-to guy for Arkansas. Leads the team in scoring and assists with over 87 assists this year, but he realizes, even as a young player, when it's time to put his team on his shoulder and get some points.
Wow, speaking of getting his team some points, Noel Johnson, the senior from Fayetteville, Georgia. And that is Auburn's first three of the night. Scott is fouled by Sullivan.
We talked about when you need to step it up in the leadership role. Nice hesitation. And Frankie Sullivan that time left on an island. No help defense from his teammates. And then Noel Johnson, the son of Lindbergh Cheese Johnson, NBA star, also played at Wichita State. His dad played for the Golden State Warriors as well.
They say that foul was on Denson, number 3, not Sullivan, 23. It's his second. And Auburn with the basketball and a chance to tie or take the lead. And Adams has a whistle underneath.
Interesting enough, Dave, I don't think we've seen one set ran in this basketball game. It's funny, I remember I spoke with Nolan Richardson, former Arkansas coach, before a game before, and told him how we used to practice against 6 and 7 players to try to prepare for the Razorbacks. And Coach Richardson said, we love that. Obviously, a protege of Coach Richardson, Mike Anderson, he wants every team to have to adapt to their style of basketball and not play the type of game they want to play.
One of the greatest lines I believe I've ever heard in this league, and there have been some great ones, and of course Sonny Smith sitting down the way, he could deliver some lines too, but Sullivan, who hits the first, ties it up with a second. Nolan Richardson's basketball was called 40 minutes of hell. Mike Anderson, as a foul is called, and Qualls will go to the free throw line. Mike Anderson calls his brand of basketball the fastest 40 minutes in basketball, and somebody asked him about whether or not it was going to be 40 minutes of hell. He said, I hope people don't say, what the hell are they doing?
Well, we know Coach Mike Anderson got it done at UAB, got it done at Missouri, went to the Elite Eight, and he will get it done for the Razorbacks as well. He said there are no shortcuts, you just have to be patient.
So now B.J. Young is going to go to the bench and take a seat alongside Mike Anderson as he's picked up his second foul.
Slowly but surely, Dave Baker, Auburn has kind of quietly snuck their way back into this basketball game, right where they want to be.
D. Wagner, 5'10", 176-pound freshman from Alexander, Louisiana. Checks into the game. Little used, and he's listed at 5'10", and that could be a generous listing. Auburn led this game 2-0. Arkansas has been on top ever since. Oh my goodness. Did you see Wagner get caught on the switch? That was 5'10" on 7 foot. And Hassan Dixon Tatum made it look easy. Williams with the pull-up. And that's a pretty play by Ja'Cory Williams, the freshman from Birmingham. Shot won't fall for Payne. And Scott on the step through draws the foul. Arkansas and Auburn back and forth here on the Plain. At home for the first of 3. They've erased a 9-point lead and trail by just a bucket. Damian Fishback, one thing you've got to do is you got to be able to get yourself out of trouble, and we'll take a look at that. How about we go inside the play?
Well, let's take a look at Auburn here. Alan Payne's going to receive it inside. Let it go. Allen Payne is down on the post. Now freeze it. The trap comes. First and foremost, you have to be strong with the basketball. Let it go. Second of all, you always want to look opposite. He takes it to the top of the key. Ball reversal right back inside. Dixon Tatum has a mismatch, and it's easy like Sunday morning. A perfect job of throwing it out of the trap, being strong, ball reversal, and right back inside.
It's easy like Sunday morning because that's usually when you're shooting over your little brother. When you're 7 foot going over 5'10" D. Wagner, it might have a Sunday morning feel to it.
Auburn now switching to a 2-3 zone for the first time.
Why not? Make Arkansas make some shots.
Well, they started out hot, but are now only 3 of 11 from that three-point line.
See if the Razorbacks can respond. Walls thought about it and then pulled it back out. Williams doesn't hesitate, though.
Well, he is a young player who has continued to improve as the season goes on.
Boy, great hustle at both ends. Auburn answers the Arkansas triple. Scott couldn't get the tough shot to go.
Nice decision that time by Payne to bring it back out.
And Tony Barbee did not like what was going on, so he's taking a timeout. And that'll give us a chance to take a timeout. Give you the answer to our U.S. Postal Service trivia question brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. Schedule your free package pickup today. What is the winning percentage for SEC road teams at conference play since 1991? For those of you who said 34%, you are correct. Does that surprise you that it's 34, Damien?
Not at all. It's actually around 34% again this year. We talked about tough to play on the road. Actually was the lowest, one of the lowest in 2006 and 7, which was 25%. And you think about some of the venues that you play in the SEC, Vanderbilt, where the coaches are on opposite ends of the floor, the Tad Pad at Ole Miss Coliseum, go to Starkville. So a lot of difficult places to play, and that's being displayed this year. See Arkansas 0-6 on the road this season.
0-5 in the conference. They're 5-0 at home in the league. And trying to turn that tide here tonight. Arkansas looks like they're going a little zone of their own now. Shot clock at 4. What a big play by the little guy. Wallace has scored 5 straight for the Tigers. And a turnover gives the ball back to Auburn with a chance to take the lead.
Josh Wallace amongst the top 5 in the SEC in assist to turnover ratio, not known for knocking down the trifecta, but the clock was running down and he came through in the clutch for his Tigers.
And they've got the basketball and a chance to take that lead. And Auburn gives the basketball right back, and it's on an offensive foul against Chubb. Williams couldn't get that one to go, as we're under 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Nice dish. Wallace to Sullivan, who can't knock it down. And Young will go to the free throw line. Looked like Payne got all ball up top. And if that was Denson underneath, there it is, right across the arm.
This is the type of mindset Young needs to play with all the time, aggressive and going to the rim.
And that's Denson's third foul. He'll now go to the Auburn bench. Jordan Price checks in.
Big foul for Auburn. You see the frustration and the look of Chris Denson. 15 points in the game versus Kentucky, and he'll have to sit the rest of this half and have to be cognizant of his foul trouble in the second half.
Shaq Johnson got in some early foul trouble. Rob Chubb on the bench as well. Boy, Hassan Dixon Tatum wanted the lob, but Price didn't pull the trigger. Sullivan with a take. And Qualls got the clean block up top. But the foul was called against Mardrakus Wade on the drive. It's his second.
It's interesting, Dave. We've got the third and fourth scorer in the conference, and what are they both doing? We see Frankie Sullivan taking it to the basket here, getting to the free throw line. The play before, B.J. Young going to the rim. Young players, you want to be a good scorer, go to the basket, get to the charity stripe. That's how you manufacture points.
Mardrakus Wade really late with that slap down attempt. Instead of all ball, he got all bicep. Williams now feeling it on offense, but he doesn't get that one to go. And about a 4-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock for the Tigers. Auburn has not led since 2-0. But they've got an opportunity to get the lead as they head into the locker room. Payne goes to work. And what a putback by Hassan Dixon Tatum. Tough rebound. And then the righty sticks it back in with his left hand. And Auburn comes from 9 back to take a 2-point lead at the break. We'll take a look at what's going on around the SEC when we come right back.
Customer.
Second half, 35-33, Tigers on top of the Razorbacks. No pressure at halftime. I think people are getting better at this sort of thing. How about Stephen Bass, sophomore from Murfreesboro? It's in the air, and it's good. Golden Flake, one of the, I think they were the very first corporate sponsor in the SEC sponsoring this contest. They're taking a look and reviewing the tape, but as long as he's behind the line, it looked like he was. Stephen Bass, winner of $5,000 worth of tuition. How about that?
The young man still on cloud 9. You can see the expression on his face.
He is saying, I do not have to work in a bookstore next semester.
Well, I was about to say, Dave, you ought to be able to relate as a parent. They have to be the happiest.
Oh, absolutely. But what he might have done is he might have eschewed telling his parents, but now they will know. They'll find out that he's won the $5 grand, and all of a sudden they'll have to call him up and say, hey, did you forget to tell us something? Arkansas, first possession of the second half. Marshawn Powell back in there with 2 fouls. B.J. Young back in there. And he airballs one up. And Mike Anderson is looking for the antacids already.
You wonder what happened at the half. A lot of times guys come out, don't do a good job of getting themselves loose. uncharacteristic for B.J. Young to shoot an air ball.
And then Auburn turns around and throws it away. And Wallace, the little guy, I thought he made a play on the ball. Powell, who's had some injury problems, did not appreciate it. Take a look. That was a hard foul, but I thought he made a play on the ball.
I'm in agreement with Mike Anderson when he talks about this generation is a different generation. It's just a hard foul on the basketball. And you have to remember Marshawn Powell coming off of an injury.
Powell missed about all of last year. Now they are, in fact, going to take a look at the monitor across the way. Again, you can look at that replay to determine if a field goal is worth 2 or 3, who's the correct free throw shooter, whether a fight occurred, who participated or left the bench but didn't participate, or to see if a flagrant 2 occurred that was missed by the officials that caused the player to become injured.
Official Pat Adams doing a good job of making sure that he got into the mix of those players immediately.
And now Pat Adams calling both coaches over. Tony Barbee satisfied with the explanation. Pat Adams coming over to tell Damian. And Pat Adams says it was just a hard foul.
In agreement with us.
Yep. But that's what the technology is designed for. That's what the rule is designed for. And Marshawn Powell misses the free throw.
Well, and you probably understand not just the foul, but a little of the frustration from Powell. He's a guy who only played 17 minutes in the Vanderbilt game with 5 points and 5 fouls. And got in early foul trouble in the first half in this Auburn game.
And Chubb picks up another foul. I think that's got to be the template if you're playing Auburn right now. As you take the basketball right at them, and they're a team that will commit some fouls. That's the 3rd against Chubb. Denson, we have not seen. Yes, he is in there. He's in there with 3. Shaq Johnson has just checked back into the basketball game. Johnson has had his own set of foul issues as he picked up a couple in a very short period of time in the first half. Frankie Sullivan not in there to start the second half, same as he was not in the Auburn lineup to start the game. They go to Powell again, and this time Chubb gets it cleanly. That time Chubb lost the basketball.
Game getting a little sloppy, but you see both teams making a conscious effort to try to get the basketball in the paint to start this second half.
Tony Barbee is going to go right back to Hassan Dixon. Tatum. B.J. Young goes right back to the rim.
I love the way he's playing right now. Minus the air ball, been extremely aggressive, showed patience, and has attacked when his team has needed him to attack.
Denson put on a deck, and Scott fouling.
Young doing a good job of not settling, using the bounce to get to the rim, and again, just no one stepping up for Auburn to meet Young at the rim and give any type of help defense. Defensively, you ought to be hooked together like a string and move to the level of the basketball You have to play together, be a family, and make sure you help your teammate if the ball gets by him.
Wallace couldn't get it to go. Look at Powell run the floor. What a play by Marshawn Powell.
Arkansas doing a good job of getting out on the break. Powell running the floor and rewarded for running the floor.
Boy, not only hustles back there, Damian, but that is a tough catch for the big fellow to make and to gather himself and score in transition.
Well, he was really missed last year, and this year doing a good job of coming back and really giving all that he has to this Razorback team.
Despite the B.J. Young air ball to start the half, Arkansas on a 7-0 run. Denson with a step through.
Nice. So many players today use the jump stop, and Chris Denson does as good a job as anyone. You see him penetrating there. Jump stop off the bounce. 1-2, absorbs the contact and finishes at the rim.
Denson, who missed this first meeting between Arkansas and Auburn that resulted in a double overtime Razorback victory. He'll now go to the Auburn bench. Josh Wallace checks back in. Tigers now double teaming Powell every time he gets it. And on the rebound, Cody Clark is guilty of the foul. It's his third.
Well, I like that adjustment by Auburn. The one threat, consistent threat for the Razorbacks has been Powell on the interior, so why not double? Try to make someone else beat you.
Just go at him hard. So Clark and Powell with 3 each for Arkansas. Chubb and Denson with 3 each for Auburn. Sullivan was on the line. Frankie Sullivan now with 7. And an offensive foul against the Razorbacks.
Dave, Frankie Sullivan doing a good job here of using the pass fake. Bam, gets his defender up, and then the nice step back between the legs has B.J. Young backpedaling and knocks down a big-time jump shot.
So Mardrakus Wade just picked up his third. He now goes to the Arkansas bench. Rashad Madden, 6'5", 181-pound sophomore from Lepanto, Arkansas. So now Madden, Powell, Clark, all with 3 for the Razorbacks. Nice spin by Sullivan, and then he threw it away.
You talked about the foul trouble. Arkansas, Wade, Powell, and Clark with 3. Denson and Chubb for Auburn with 3 as well.
Young couldn't get it to go off the glass, but Powell was right there. Powell with 8.
Arkansas hanging in. The road a tough place for teams.
Nice dish to Sullivan. Denson made it happen with a penetration.
Saw Kansas hand it to Kansas State. Florida do it to Kentucky. Michigan State to Michigan.
And the Tigers and Razorbacks battling back and forth. The outcome of this one still very much in doubt. Recruiting over, he'll be getting set to crank it up in terms of spring practice here soon.
A lot of excitement back on this campus at Auburn. A lot that weighs on that man there, Gus Malzahn. Obviously his success with the national championship team. Guys like Cam Newton and Nick Fairley.
Arkansas out of the timeout, throws it right away.
Dixon Tatum working hard to get it inside.
And that work pays off. And that is going to be on Powell.
Arkansas displaying one of the reasons why they have struggled to win on the road, because of the decision-making skills. And again, with 9 underclassmen, Arkansas, a team that's still trying to grow up. And Dave, Dixon Tatum, a guy who actually led junior college in blocked shots last year, I think has a nice upside. If he gets an off season for Auburn, puts on 15 to 20 pounds, he's a guy who you could bring back next year and be a good looking center in the SEC.
Young got it to go.
Nice. One that you got to finish if you're Sean Dixon Tatum. And the crowd for Auburn hollering air ball. You're Frankie Sullivan. You've got to get out closer and contest B.J. Young.
Scott got it to go. Both teams beginning to heat up. And Shaq Johnson draws the foul. Young commits it.
Both of these teams right now, Dave, really trying to get into the paint area. Bad pass here. It's okay. Powell, a veteran, getting it out to Scott, and Scott knowing exactly what to do with it. One of the characteristics you have to have on the road to win is a no excuses mentality. If it's a bad pass, don't blame your teammates. You take care of business no matter what.
Fans, stay up to date with the experts of Southern College Sports. You can follow us at CSSSports.com. You can also find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/CSS Sports. So Twitter at CSS Sports, Facebook at Facebook.com/CSS Sports.
You mentioned at the half that when you have a team that you're rebuilding, teams that have been struggling, you have to change the mindset. Let's remember, this is an Arkansas team with guys who aren't accustomed to winning on the road. As Qualls knocks down that jump shot. So that's what these coaches are working through right now. Not only physically and the skill set, but the mind.
We went through one of these deals in the first half. Long stretches where nobody could hit, and then a short stretch where everything went in. Dixon Tatum couldn't get it to go. Both teams really beginning to attack the rim now at both ends, Damian.
Well, that's what you have to love about the effort by these teams. When you look at the wins and losses, it's not because of a lack of effort. And you want your teams to make an adjustment. And Frankie Sullivan, a guy who's had 9 20-point games, I think is playing intelligent basketball right now, going to the rim.
Bell couldn't get it to go as he checks in for his first action of the night. Antoine Bell, 6'3", 190-pound freshman from Bartlett, Tennessee. Haidar chases it down. Both coaches using an awful lot of players. Madden back in there. I don't know if Arkansas has ever played this lineup together all season long. Madden, Qualls, Haidar, Mickelson, and Bell. Chubb with a nice box out. And Qualls will be whistled for the foul against Johnson. Oh, the intensity kicking up as we head down the stretch. Come back, and Arkansas has come back after losing that big lead, Damian.
B.J. Young has done a good job, but it's not just been him. You see Scott knocking it down from the outside as they continue to heat up. Qualls with the nice shot as well. Let's remember, this is an Arkansas team who knocked off Florida at home, scored the most points scored against Florida this year with 80 points as we look at their field goal percentage. And they have 5 guys who have scored 20 points this year. Cody Clark, Mardrakus Wade, Ricky Scott, B.J. Young, and Marshawn Powell, to give you an idea of the type of weapons that the Razorbacks have.
There you see Young's numbers as he gets a couple of extra minutes. Coming out of our second of 4 media timeouts of the second half. Rice got 1 of 2, but Chubb with the offensive rebound. Well, Frankie Sullivan is just so out of sync right now, Damian. You know, normally he would have gotten those 2 guys up in the air and taken that shot himself, made a nice pass, but it was one that Chubb couldn't handle. And you got to feel for a guy who's been able to score the way he has in his career, and he's just really in a funk right now.
Yeah, but you can't put that one on Sullivan. He's definitely trying to find himself, but that is a play where Rob Chubb has to just catch the ball, gather himself, and go up. You see he's on the sideline right now. You can't catch that pass and dribble it off your foot. Sullivan made the right play, but he's going to have to continue to pick it up. His Tigers need him right now.
Still hustling on the defensive end, though.
As a senior, a lot of times your concern is that it's your last go around. Sullivan, a guy who would love to have some type of postseason play, not looking good for the Tigers right now. Definitely will have a chance to play for money when he finishes here at Auburn. But it starts to set in, and it's doing it a little bit right now for Sullivan.
Good defense there on Young and forced him into a bad shot. Payne thought he was bumped. No call.
And Coach Tony Barbie's facial expression displays probably what you're thinking at home.
Oh, he ran up on the back of Dixon Tatum. Ran into his own man. He did get bumped. Got bumped by his own guy. Marshawn Powell checks back in at the 11:06 mark of the second half. 8 points, 5 rebounds for Powell. even though he had to set a goodly amount of the first half with 2 fouls. Wow. Price couldn't finish. And once again, Frankie Sullivan, frustrated offensively, still playing really hard and really well on the defensive end.
Could have given up on the play. But again, if you're Arkansas on the road, those are the type of plays that you have to finish.
Take a look at this. Wow. They called Hassan Dixon Tatum for that foul. Looked like there was a lot of wingspan right there. Dixon Tatum goes to the Auburn bench. Chubb back in. And Young with another 3. 18 for B.J. Young. To convert at close range. That's not the problem for Young, though.
Well, that was miscommunication that time. 2 Auburn players, I believe it was either Price or Johnson and Allen Payne, both pointing at B.J. Young, and
I got him. You take him.
As a result, 3 more points.
2 guys just running away from the guy with the basketball. Chubb with 5 on the shot clock. And Chubb lost that one out of bounds.
We owe you an apology. Just bad basketball right now, folks. 2 teams that are playing hard, but offensively it's almost like there's butter on the basketball. Can't hold on to it right now. Just an ugly game thus far.
Look at Powell. And a whistle away from the basketball. And I believe, did they get Chubb for an elbow? As Marshawn Powell hit that 3, Rob Chubb, who just had the ball taken away, take a look underneath.
We'll try to see if we can find out from our officiating crew
Pat
exactly
Adams
what happened.
Pat Adams is going to take a look. They called the foul for Chubb on that. The question is, was it an excessive elbow? And that's the reason they're going to look at the monitor. Here's what the officials are seeing. And there you see Chubb with the chicken wing to the ribs, trying to clear out. Pat Adams over there with Jim Burr. And I think they're trying to determine
You have to wonder, Dave, after a couple of altercations last week, has there been a conversation with the officials by the coordinator of officials, John Adams, to just make sure that they keep the game under control a lot more? There may be complaints from fans about a call like this with Rob Chubb, but sometimes you let an elbow like that go and it leads to different altercations, like you saw with an Ole Miss game versus Missouri and like you saw with the Kentucky versus Auburn game.
Pat Adams and Jim Burr over there giving the explanation. Tony Barbee walked down to the end of his bench. He didn't want to hear the explanation. And we await the explanation as well. Mike Anderson still over there talking with Jim Burr. Burr still over at the scores table. We've not heard an official announcement yet. There you see Burr in a conversation with the official scorer. Once we get a dead ball, we'll check with the officials and make sure we have their correct interpretation. But it looks like they just decided it was just a common foul. Wade gets it to go. Boy, and all of a sudden, in a matter of no time, this game has gotten away from Auburn. Look at that, a 9-0 Arkansas run in just a minute and 15 seconds. And Tony Barbee takes a timeout, trying to get things turned around as Arkansas leads by 12. The Auburn Tigers, it has been a flurry of great outside shooting, something Damian Fishback that Arkansas has not enjoyed for most of this season.
Well, they have not, and we talked about their inability to make shots on the road, but tonight, different game, different story. You see Scott on the perimeter knocking it down, and B.J. Young, as good as any, has been hot from the outside behind the arc, as well as Wade. We talked about how many scores they had. They have shot it well. You see the season versus tonight, 30% on the season, 43% tonight, Dave.
9 of 21. And that'll get it done. Second half, Arkansas 5 of 9 from outside the arc. And Auburn has not attempted a three, has not made a three.
And we spoke with the official Pat Adams at the half. He said that they were looking at the monitor. There were 2 elbows that were thrown, a left that did not connect and a right that did connect, but below the shoulder, just a foul.
And they were just confirming that. Could be a flagrant if it was an elbow above the shoulders. And that is a basket that the Tigers of Auburn badly needed. And Payne is called for the foul.
Auburn now changing it up a little bit, trying to mix it up defensively, a little full court pressure. Now back to the 2-3 zone. Take a look at the pass on that play, and Mickelson just not keeping his defender behind, but not a great pass from Wade either.
Wallace was cut off, and Payne gets it to go. So Auburn out of the timeout answers with a 5-0 run of its own. Mickelson behind the defense. And Sullivan and Jordan Granger in trouble in the backcourt.
And Auburn right now, tallest man, really 6'5", 6'6", in Payne and Granger, going with the small lineup.
Tigers trying to get back in it and get it done at the line. Can they do it? Denson with a drive. Lead on the road, and that is a sentence that has not been used a lot when talking about these Razorbacks this year, Damian.
Yeah, we look at the resume and quality wins against Florida and Oklahoma. The strength of schedule, not the best, but you see that RPI 92, and bad losses, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, but that road record is what is standing now. 0-6 on the road. This would be a quality win because when you look at those RPI points, the road win's more important. And let's take a look at the schedule. They're going to have their opportunities. They got Missouri going home after this. They got at Florida, and then they have Kentucky March the 2nd. And let's remember that the point differential between a home win, neutral site, and a road win. So this would be like 2 points if they could get this win on the road. Critical and a prodigious win for the Razorbacks.
It's like getting a par on like a hole. It's, I mean, just monster, you know, playing 2 over. You know, it's like you're stealing one. See what they've done here. And Mike Anderson knows it's not going to be easy headed down the stretch.
Well, we mentioned that Coach Tony Barbie went to basically a guard type lineup. Granger has really played more of the 4-5 position.
And Payne hits the offensive glass.
And I wonder here, does Coach Mike Anderson keep Mickelson in, or does he try to match it with a somewhat of a 5-guard lineup for himself? And give credit to Alvin Payne, just quicker and wanted the rebound a lot more. And he does make the change, Dave. Takes Mickelson out and has Clark a little more mobile, agile, and athletic.
Frankie Sullivan set to check back in for Auburn.
This is really about to turn into a pickup game right now.
Payne making plays at both ends. Bumping and pushing Jordan Granger all the way through the lane. It wasn't a matter if that whistle was going to be hit, but when. Madden's first.
Coach Mike Anderson telling him just to tone it down a little bit. Madden, versatile player, can play multiple positions, can defend multiple positions as well.
Granger settles in at the line as Jim Berg gets something straightened out over at the table. Granger, of course, missed the second half. Not the entire second half, but about the second half of the second half on Saturday at Kentucky, after he got into a shoving match with Archie Goodwin and was ejected from the game. It was deemed that he was ejected for a flagrant and not for fighting, so he was not suspended for tonight's contest.
Take over in a game like this. Really no other bigs on the court right now. He should dominate in the paint.
Young couldn't get it to go. Wallace took it right at Powell.
Well, with all the guards in the game right now, it's just like pickup. You're looking for the mismatch on the floor.
Sullivan spinning in the lane, had it knocked away. 14th Auburn turnover.
Double team of Auburn defensively, taking Powell out of the game right now.
Wade couldn't get it to go. Wade had a handful of Payne's jersey. Tony Barbee could see that was going nowhere, and he takes a timeout from the Auburn bench. While we have a moment, let's take a look at some news and notes around the SEC. You see that Florida win last night, but more significant than that as it relates to the league picture. Kentucky loses Nerlens Noel. They said there was no break, but it was diagnosed today as a torn ACL. He'll have surgery in a couple of weeks and will be out for the season. And right now, Joey Brackett's has 4 teams in the NCAA tournament from the SEC. But Kentucky now, that process will basically start again, because what the committee will do is the committee will evaluate them from this point forward, because they'll be adjudicated to be or not be a tournament team based on what they do without Nerlens Noel.
And look at this schedule, Dave. It's a dangerous schedule. We looked at the RPIs earlier. They go to Tennessee, who had a good win against South Carolina. Vanderbilt's playing better. You have Missouri, really the only win that would give them credit as a quality win, besides possibly at Arkansas. So a lot of work ahead for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Payne didn't draw iron. Noel Johnson set to check back in.
Nice decision that time by Powell not to force.
Young couldn't hit. Mike Anderson taking a timeout after Denson goes up top and creates a highlight moment.
ESPN top plays of the week. You better get down here to Auburn, Alabama. Nice. And Chris Denson showing a little emotion as Shaquille Johnson goes upstairs, top floor of the elevator.
Arkansas has led by as many as 12. They led by 9 in the first half. They stretched it to 12 here in the final 20 minutes. Auburn has only led by 2 points on 2 different occasions. The first time was at 2-0. And the Tigers have been able to right the ship and get back in it on an 11-2 run over the last 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Gets it to go, and he draws the foul.
A set play out of the timeout by Coach Mike Anderson. A cross screen, big versus little, no switch, and Powell actually splitting the double team and going right to the basket. A nice job of Coach Mike Anderson settling his team down and saying, we're going inside where our bread is buttered. Marshawn Powell, a double-double guy, comes through for the Razorbacks.
Powell with the conversion. 14 points now to go along with those 7 rebounds.
Last 8 games decided by a combined 25 points. Expect this one to go down to the wire as well.
Calling another set from the Arkansas bench. It's Young on the curl.
You know, Dave, it's interesting. Talked to Coach Mike Anderson at the shoot-around, and he said that he realized his team was on the cusp of getting there even before the Florida game, even the loss by 3 points at Alabama. Then you come back home, you beat Tennessee and beat Florida, but then you go to Vanderbilt, a team that you dominated at home, and you slip up on the road. It seems like the Razorbacks are starting to get that edge and play with a little bit more confidence right now, up 7.
Jordan Granger was called for that last foul. He's now got a spot on the Auburn bench. Bob Chubb back in there with his physical presence and with 4 personal fouls.
If I'm Coach Tony Barbie, I give him a trip or 2 to get loose, and I go right to him in that paint area.
Rotation and the 3. Maybe the best offensive center tonight for the Tigers. And Shaq Johnson gets it to go. Foul is called underneath against Johnson. But Auburn has come back with its own version of the Shaq attack. Up top in transition, and then outside with a 3. We've got a good one headed down the stretch.
Hey, is that Watch ESPN?
Yep.
Is it a website and app that lets me watch live ESPN?
Yep.
On my smartphone, tablet, or laptop?
Yeah.
That's clutch. Can I use it to watch the Canes play Duke live while enjoying an overpriced
Back here at home, and speaking of Bass Pro Shops, time for the Bass Pro Shops in the net. Bass Pro Shops, your adventure starts here. That one didn't stay in the net very long, Damian.
You love basketball this time of the year. Obviously, the build-up for March Madness, and right now, if you're Auburn, you're coming off and saying, hey, guys, listen, we need stops. We're right in this basketball game. You're down a couple of stops, and you're right back into it. For Arkansas, this is a game where you're not giving games on the road. You have to take them, Dave Baker. And right now, Arkansas is in a position to take a road win.
Powell at the free throw line. Arkansas 14 of 18 from the free throw line. Auburn 19 of 25. And now the Razorbacks come with some full court pressure. Good free throw shooting tonight. Arkansas came into this one 9th in the league in free throw shooting. Auburn 6th. Bump is called, and they get Madden for the foul.
Coach Mike Anderson, after the foul, was actually telling his guys to box out, and officials have been calling it close for the most part tonight. And you know, if you're a player or a coach, you just want consistency, and even though they've been calling it close, it has been consistent all night.
There you see Denson's numbers. Granger, Wallace. They'll check back in for Auburn. Arkansas with 3 timeouts left. Auburn with a couple. Arkansas has committed 11 fouls. And on the next Auburn foul, the Razorbacks will be in the double bonus.
Nice pass.
Wow, somebody got lost. Payne was looking around like he was expecting help. Net result, though, is 2 in the net for the Razorbacks. Sullivan spins again. That is the second time here down the stretch he's made a move like that and just lost it. And it results in 2 at the other end for Marshawn Powell. And Tony Barbee takes timeout.
We talked about Arkansas in a position to take a win right now. Not being passive whatsoever, staying aggressive and staying assertive on the offensive end. Again, B.J. Young averaging 4 assists per game, continuing to expand his basketball game, being unselfish.
18 points for Marshawn Powell. A guy who his coach said had to be consistent. Had to be a guy that not only showed up, but showed up in a big sort of way.
Now, if you're Arkansas, you've got a 10-point lead, 2:43 left to go. You have to be intelligent on the defensive end. The clock is your ally for Auburn. You can't be in panic mode, but you have to go fast. January the 16th, Marshawn Powell's number. 28 points, 11 rebounds.
He's gotten some help tonight, though. As the foul is underneath, and they're going to get Powell for that foul. And that is his 4th. You saw those numbers from Marshawn Powell on that night. Tonight, Powell has teamed up with B.J. Young. Together, they have shot 13 of 25 from the field, 38 points between them.
Auburn right now still trying to find it. You know, when you lose a few games in a row, and Auburn lost 7 out of their last 8, or 6 out of their last 7, I'm sorry. A time where there can be separation. If you're Auburn right now, you have to try to come together and find a recipe that works.
Foul in transition. Payne whistled for the foul. And there is Payne on the Auburn bench for Tony Barbee. Both Barbee and Mike Anderson trying to build up programs, trying to instill their way of doing things and a style of play that each believes they have to compete in the SEC and beyond. Payne took it right at Powell. Shot an air ball and got his own, then shot another air ball. Pretty spin by Granger.
Auburn deciding not to foul at this point. Down 8. Going to try to get a stop at a couple of baskets. And no, there goes the foul by Payne. If you're going to foul, though, I'd do it earlier in the shot clock.
4th foul against Payne. Both teams with young rosters. As Madden can't connect. And Denson quickly checking in to the Auburn lineup. There you see just how young Arkansas is. Except for the senior class right now. Mike Anderson has some balance between those juniors and the freshmen and sophomores. was easy for Powell as he came over to help.
Powell's been doing it on the glass and showing you a little defense as well.
Good all-around night for Marshawn Powell. There's another block for Powell. He just keeps stuff in the stat sheet.
Powell, just the 7th player at Arkansas to have 1,000 points, 450 rebounds, and 82 blocks.
He's the 35th member of the 1,000 point club. He's got 3 double-doubles this year. And a lot of people may forget. And they're going to allow that basket. Yes, they are. Not a very heads-up play by the Razorbacks that time after the foul was called. Here it is. There's the foul, and then Cody Clark comes over and just bats it while it's up on the rim. And it wasn't going in either. Young picked up his 4th. Still time for the Tigers, but not when you play half-court defense like that. Great look by Arkansas and great energy by Marshawn Powell. What I was starting to say earlier, Damian, was a lot of people forget that you get a class that included the likes of John Wall and Eric Bledsoe and DeMarcus Cousins and others. Marshawn Powell, a unanimous member of that all-freshman team that year.
Well, he's a guy who, since recovering from his knee injury, has played incredible basketball, and there's no doubt he is critical for this Arkansas team. 20 points, 9 rebounds, a guy who can post up smaller guys on the interior, but also has the ability and vision to play on the perimeter, can knock down 3-pointers, can distribute the basketball, and truly a difference maker for the Razorbacks.
1 rebound away from that double-double. And Auburn needs points and needs them in a hurry. Denson got the 3.
2-possession basketball game. If you're Auburn, you need a turnover or a quick foul.
Finally, it's Wallace who got a hand in there and committed the foul.
Coach Tony Varby talked about how he felt like the double overtime game in Fayetteville was a critical turnaround for Auburn. You have to remember, before then they played Illinois, who was 12 in the country at that time, to 2 points on a neutral site, knocked off Florida State, started off 2-0 in the SEC, but since that loss, it's been a tough time for the Tigers.
Absolutely. Young missed them both, but look at Wade come up with the loose ball. And that might just do it. Johnson got it to go. Auburn has hit its last 2 threes. And just when it seems like they're on the ropes, the Tigers stay alive.
No quit, and if you're Arkansas, there's a couple of things that Mike Anderson's probably telling them right now. Number one, you got to knock down some of these free throws. The difference in winning and losing games when you're on the road. Number two, they have done a fairly good job of taking care of the basketball. We mentioned they're second in the nation in turnover margin at 6.6 per game. Then on the other hand, for Auburn, they have to continue to fight. A 2-possession game, a steal and a 3, and you're right back in this basketball game with 37 seconds left to go.
Time now for a look at our America's Navy Defender of the Game, brought to you by America's Navy, a global force for good. To answer the call, go to Navy.com. And our America's Navy Defender of the Game, Son Dixon Tatum. 3 blocks, the steal, and he has caused a lot of problems for Arkansas offensively. Really like the way that young man played.
Well, he had 10 points earlier in the year against UK. Had 8 points at Missouri. He's a guy, like I said, who has a nice upside. Needs an offseason. Put some muscle on. Continue to get accustomed to Coach Tony Barbie's system. But I think has a bright future at Auburn.
Young in trouble, and he takes a timeout. Auburn is out of timeouts. Arkansas with 1 remaining. There you see the possession arrow. It points in the direction of the Tigers.
And now Coach Tony Barbie obviously showing where Arkansas is going to get the ball in. So more than likely, we know that it's going to be a spot throw, and more than likely for Auburn, they want to try to direct whoever gets the inbound pass into one of the trapping zones on the floor so you can have the sideline as one of your defenders. If you don't get a turnover, you try to tie up or get the 10-second violation call. If you don't, immediately as the Razorbacks cross half court, you have to foul.
I think they got to foul if they don't get the steal. I don't know if they can afford to burn the 10 seconds even if they were to get the turnover with just 33.7 to go. So here we go.
You want to try to get the turnover, and Coach Tony Barbie.
Wallace commits the foul on Young. Young, only a 69.6% free throw shooter. He missed his last 2. And he's 4 of 6 from the line tonight.
Big shot, obviously, takes it now to a 3-possession game. And that's one of the reasons why you're always hesitant as a coach to foul, because now you need 3 possessions versus 2, and an 8-point deficit, a large hole to dig out of if you're Auburn right now.
22 for B.J. Young, 20 for Marshawn Powell. And Denson waiting for people to clear out, and he's got to get it going. Wallace is fouled, and that's the last thing that Arkansas wanted to do.
Unbelievable. Just, if you're Arkansas right now, there's no reason why you foul at this point. Worst case scenario, you allow your opponent to go through and just contest the shot. The clock is your ally. And if you're Arkansas, games like this, even if you come out on top, I'm sure it's something that Coach Mike Anderson will talk to his team about, changing the mindset when you have a lead on the road or at home.
And at the very least, you just overplay it. Let him take the 2 and don't let him get a 3. Madden with the inbounds. And Young is fouled. So he'll go to the free throw line. And that's the 5th on Wallace. So Alan Payne substituted in. And Young goes back to the free throw line. Had 22 in the first game, which was a double overtime victory over Auburn. And he still has 22 tonight.
He's a guy that needs to continue to work on his game. But I like the mindset. Probably one of the more aggressive games that I've seen him.
Auburn's got to get a basket of some kind. The one thing you can't do is go empty, and that'll do it. B.J. Young, 25 points to lead all scorers. Marshawn Powell with 20. And Marshawn Powell is our Geico go-to player of the game. Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. Go to geico.com now or call 1-800-947-AUTO for a free quote. See how much you could save. You see the numbers on Powell. He just missed a double-double. But the Razorbacks get their first SEC win of the season as they beat Auburn 83-75. So long from Auburn, everybody.